I don't think this developer is going to make FPS great again. Yesterday we talked about how Build a Rocket Boy sadly is potentially facing redundancies of over 100 of their staff given the pretty dismal launch of Mind's Eye, on top of the bugs and other slight controversies plaguing the launch of the game. We're now seeing 1047 Games talk about some struggles they're having and redundancies that are coming up with their current studio. The co-founders of the studio themselves have opted to take no salaries as they're trying to get the game apparently back on track and redirecting all of the resources to build the best game for players. But the game itself is just sadly not maybe hitting fans in a way it should do. It's a bit controversial given the fact that when the Summer's Game Fest rolled around not even a month ago, we had one of their team come up on stage wearing what can only be described as a MAGA inspired hat, talking about making FPS great again and talking about where is their Titanfall free, which comes across as just a little bit tone deaf because they're releasing a sequel to a game which is pretty much looks like an Apex Legends clone. That is the reason why we're not getting a Titanfall free. So to have this slightly snarky, slightly ambiguous claim about the idea of FPS not being great again and demanding that we see a sequel to a really well loved actual FPS franchise from the original Call of Duty makers is just a bit tone deaf. Regardless of the tone deaf nature of the situation, obviously it's never great to see any sort of developers being made redundant, and it's one of those ones where the space being as caustic as it is, and with FPS kind of being one of the more brutal spaces, especially on a competitive standpoint to compete against, it is sad to see that we are having more developers in a bit of a bind when it comes to the releases of their games. This might be just another example of what it is to be a game developer in the space, given that what we're trying to see is more people trying to take up a very fine end of space in a world where we have games that are being marketed much like Mind's Eye as the GTA killer, people coming in with this idea of being COD or Halo killers, and I think it's getting to a point where we need to stop talking about what is a franchise killer and maybe just try and make good games without calling out other studios and developers on why they're not getting sequels to the games they want. Here's an idea. Why don't you make the game you want to see rather than promote something that's antithetical to what you're claiming on stage? Just throwing that out there. Obviously, as we find out more, I'll let you know, but follow to stay tuned as we look into this more.